All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Double honor to the Apostle Nels Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to you, Akim, pushing this truth throughout the four winds and sincerity. Okay, just going into the hot topic. Through the Spirit, man, I hope it's edifying to the elect. Okay, so heathen kings are carnal men. How can the mark of the beast be spiritual? Okay. I'm gonna go through basically things throughout the scriptures that actually show heathen kings and their rulerships, how things were set in stone through mouth, through word, but it had to be played out physically. Okay, so that's why I put oaths are made with words but are shown with physical action. Okay, this is an oath, a solemn appeal to a deity or to some revered person or thing to witness one's determination to speak the truth, to keep a promise. Okay, so in other words, you tell someone, hey, I'm gonna be there to pick you up at 3 o'clock. That's your word. Okay, that person is going to be looking for you physically at 3 o'clock because you spoke it. Now you have to live it out and play that action out through physical action. Okay, a formally affirmed statement or a promise accepted as an equivalent of an appeal to a deity or to a revered person or thing, affirmation. Okay, the form of words in which such a statement or promise is made. You see what I'm saying? So if you are saying something, it has to be played out through physical action. Simple. All right. This is Genesis. I'm starting chapter 4. It says, and in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Okay? And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. Now these are in the spirit. You just have to be a spiritual person to understand reincarnation. Okay, so we understand here that this spirit that is upon Esau to this very day has always been a spirit of violence, wrath. Okay, being pouty, you know what I'm saying? Deception. Okay, and these are physical attributes of Esau. Okay, what did he do? He rose against his brother Abel and slew him. Why? Because what he had to offer, it was bullshit. It wasn't acceptable. Okay? This is Genesis 27 and 39 through 40. It says, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from up off thy neck. Okay, so this was his promise, to rule. And when he ruled, it was going to be by sword. So it was going to be by action. It was going to be by force. Everything he was promised to do, it was going to be with violence and force. Okay. Now this is Matthew chapter 2. It says, and when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise ye, take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word. For Herod, here's an Edomite, will seek the young child to destroy him. Pretty sure brothers are familiar with the story. Okay? Why? Because it's another king that was going to come. And when he came, he knew that this king would deliver and be the deliverer of the people that was under him, following him, which were the Jews, the Israelites. Okay? So once he knew that, that means it's an end to his society. That's an end to his rulership. Even if it was to play forward to his bloodline down the line, he knew it would be an end to us. So in this scenario, what did Esau do? Find the child so I can kill him. Violence. Physical violence. Okay? This is Daniel. I'm gonna just jump around. It says that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. Okay? Now these are kings. Everybody in rulership. These are people in ruling positions. And look at how they conduct themselves. Everything must be physical. Okay? And whoso falleth not down and worship shall the same hour be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Go figure. Okay? I made an oath. And this oath is, if you don't bow down, I'm going to physically put you in this furnace and burn you and kill you. Okay? There you go. It says, if it be so, and it's just jumping to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, our power, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. Okay? But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. So, here's another king, another person in rulership. He made an oath. I promise you, if you don't do this, these are the results. It was spoken, because these are people in places of power. It was spoken. So after it was spoken, now it's time to put it to the test. And how do you do that? Physical. Okay? It's the second Maccabees. I'm going to start at 6 and jump around. It says, I'm going to start at 1. It says, not long suffer after the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of their power. And whoso, now keep in mind, this is the king, and whoso would not conform themselves to the manner of the Gentiles shall be put to death. Once again, it was something said. Now it has to be proven that you basically are going to turn your back on the laws of your forefathers. You don't turn your back spiritually. How do you prove that you're turning your back? It has to be physical. Oh, you're going to turn your back? Okay, eat the swine's flesh. Okay, so check this out. It says, and whoso would not conform themselves to the manner of the Gentiles shall be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery. So now we're going to make an example out of one of you, so the rest will follow along. But he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth and came of his own accord to the torment. Okay, simple. I'm not going to do it. But they that had charge of that wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with the man, taking him aside, besought to him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat of the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king. Now it's some trickery. Okay, we're gonna put some flesh over here that looks like the king's flesh, but it's lawful to you to eat. So we're gonna make it look like it's basically flesh that's no good, but it's really lawful meats for you to eat. But we're trying to fool them. That's what they just did. It says that in so doing he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor. So the point is, all these examples are basically examples of these people saying something, and what has to be brought forth, what they're saying is a physical action. Okay, it's the 2 Maccabees 7. It says, and it came to pass also that 7 brethren with their mother were taken and compelled by the king against the law to taste swine's flesh, and were tormented with scourges and whips. Okay, I guess these whips were spiritual. They were tormented spiritually, right? Okay. But one of them that spake first said thus, what wouldest thou ask or learn of us? We are ready to die. Guess they was dying spiritually, rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers. Then the king, once again, here's another king, trying to force things up on the Israelites to do. And if they didn't do it, death was always the outcome. And this is a physical death. Okay. It says, then the king, being in a rage, commanded pans and cauldrons to be made hot, which forthwith being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first. Guess that was spiritual. It says, and to cut off the utmost parts of his body, the rest of his brethren and his mother looking on. Guess this was spiritual. Now, when he was thus maimed in all his members, he commanded him, yet alive, to be brought to the fire and to be fried in the pan. Guess that was a spiritual fire in a spiritual pan. Okay. And as the vapor of the pan was for good space dispersed, they exhorted one another with the mother to die manfully, saying thus, the Lord our power looketh upon us, and in truth hath comfort in us. And Moses in his song, Salakia, which witnessed to their faces, declared, saying, and he shall be comforted in his servants. So when the first was dead, after this number, they brought the second to make a mocking stock. Guess this was spiritual. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, I guess that was a spiritual thing they was doing. Couldn't have been physical. Okay. They asked him, wilt thou eat before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body? But he answered in his own language and said, no. Wherefore he also received the next torment in order as the former did. Okay. Now, all these things are physical. Keep in mind, every time it happened, it was the ruler of the place they were in. It was a king. Okay. It was always a king, and a king gives orders. You're going to do this or you're going to die. Now let's get to some examples on the right-hand side. And they came to the place which the Most High had told them of, and Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. Okay, now this is we talking about Yahweh Shem Yahshua. So this is the highest hill. Okay, how did Abraham prove that nothing superseded Yahweh Shem Yahshua? He had to physically bring his son to the altar to sacrifice him. It wasn't spiritual. Okay, he had to physically do this to prove himself. Anybody can speak and talk and say something, but until actions come into play, it's just words. Okay, and Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here am I. You know the rest of the story. But that's the point. You're not going to get by with just words, man. This is John 14 and 15. If you love me, keep my commandments. Because anybody can say, I love you, Yahweh Shem Yahshua. How do you prove it? You got to physically back your ass away from that table from eating that pork. That's not spiritual, but you're proving it. You got to get on those highways and hedges. You're not spiritually out there. You're physically out there doing the works. And this is the King of Kings. You got to prove it to him. Which brings us to Revelations 13, 16, and 17. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save that he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. We know what the word is. Charagma. Now, a stamp, an imprinted mark of the mark stamped on the forehead or right hand as the badge of the followers of Antichrist. The mark branded upon an horse. Okay? Thing, carved, sculpture, graven work. Okay? Now, so every king that ever ruled, including Yahweh Shem Yahshua, everything you had to do, it was a word given, and you had to physically live that word, good or bad. If you love me, keep my commandments. You keep them physically. Okay? Everything is proven through flesh. So you mean to tell me we're going to get to the end of the last and final age before eternal rulership comes from the Israelites, and you telling me Esau is going to basically say, you can't buy or sell unless you tell me you're taking the mark of the beast, which would be Christianity? That is fucking bullshit. You're not going to speak and tell this man that you accept Christianity. Prove it. How are you going to prove it? Take this chip right here. Mark yourself. Okay? Take it in your right hand or your forehead or wherever in your body. You have to physically prove what you're saying. You're not going to be able to get by with simply giving this man talk about what you're going to do. Okay? You're not going to get by like that. No king has ever been in rulership and said, I'm going to take your word for it. No, you have to prove that you are going to be about what you say you're about. Okay? I mean, it's just that simple. You're not going to do it. You're not going to get to the end of, man, come on, bro. This is the last captivity. You think it's going to be that easy for you to just basically sit up and say, well, I accept the mark? Now, he has no way of knowing, well, this person accepted the mark. How would they know that? When you go in the grocery store to buy, or you need to sell, how are they going to know that you have the mark without you physically doing something? You can't speak it and say it. Now they have to have a way to keep tabs on you. Well, we know this person took the mark. Bro, this is simple. But hope this was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Double honor to the apostle, that was a great millstone. Peace and blessing to you. I can push this truth throughout the four winds. Shalom.